acquired skill. I was looking at these. This is definitely getting. Yeah, let's actually take a look. Let's actually take a look. So.
This is the girls section.
Oh, never mind. Okay. Still have a few boxes left, but I wasn't actually able to put them away in storage. They're in my car right now, and the place that I went to go store them in, it was a lot more than I was expecting. They didn't have, I mean, they had units available, but the ones that they had available were at a higher price point. And I'm not looking to pay that just to put some boxes in a shed. So I'm gonna keep looking around. I might look at maybe U-Haul or some other storage locations that are available. But this is definitely an upgrade. It immediately feels more open. Feels like there's a lot more space. Shopping at Sports Check was good. I got myself a few fun items here. We have a new duffel bag. So I got a new duffel bag with an actual, see that? Actual working zipper as opposed to this bad boy. I think it's seen better days. Zipper's completely ripped off. Well, yeah, that's not coming back. But yeah, I wanted to get a new duffel bag just to have something that zips up. I'll mainly use it just for competitions. I need to pack everything. I also got a couple different shirts. Figured why not. I'm thinking this is something more for the beach or poolside, you know, a little bit of fun. And I also got this. I got them both in a double XL, so they're actually pretty baggy on me. I'm realizing that an XL is more of a fitted look, which is fine, but I need a few baggier items just to switch it up. And maybe I'll grow into it, who knows. Right now, I got a few minutes before I head out to Rec Room. I'm gonna meet some of my family there, we're gonna play some games. We're gonna go from there, and then I'm gonna go to my friend Kayla's show at another part of town, so come along. So originally I was gonna play another clip of Kayla's performance so that you could hear their vocals, but something happened with the recording. The mic didn't do its job and it sounds all garbled. It sounds terrible. Kayla, you don't sound terrible, but the audio quality does, and I wouldn't want to do that. So if you want to hear their music, if you want to hear an actual good recording of their music, I'll put a link to their Spotify in the description. Go check them out. They're incredible. They're actually going to be on tour in May, so they're actually leaving pretty soon. Just wanted to show you all that because that was actually a couple weeks ago, just to get you up to speed on where I'm at now. I'm just doing some editing here, and I had my first meet a couple weeks ago. So I'm gonna just go through some of the footage of some of my lifts. And for those of you that are new here, my name's Kelechi. I'm a photographer, I'm a powerlifter, I'm aspiring to go to nationals, and so this channel is basically just documenting some of my journey in fitness, as well as some of the other stuff that I do outside of that. And one of my goals for this year is to qualify for nationals because, as you'll see through the footage of the meet that I recently went to, it was a local meet just with a handful of folks that all go to a local gym that I frequent called Movement Fitness. And at that gym, they were having a meet just really for everyone to test out their performance and where they're at, and also just get familiar with the powerlifting process. But along with that, I did hit some PRs, and I also learned a few things about what I need to improve on in the process of going to nationals, which actually wasn't even a goal for me. I just happened to learn that the numbers that I hit got me pretty close, and so there is a possibility there, and I figured with another meet coming up in the fall, I might as well just aim for that and see what happens. Okay, so this first video is actually my first attempt, and I actually turned this into a TikTok. So if you want to see this on my TikTok, link in the description. But you can see there my opening attempt was at 425. The most that I attempted at this point was 455. So this one I knew I had locked in, went down smooth, came up strong, racked it. So that was just to get on the board. Second attempt, this is the 455, so this is the most that I've ever attempted. And I felt confident going in with this one. Squats is one of those things where I've worked really hard on depth and maintaining good form out of the bottom. This, where you can see I'm a little bit more shaky. I also used some smelling salts for the first time, but when I got to that bottom and came back up, it was pure adrenaline that just got me to grind that out. So yeah, as you can see, I'm pretty pumped about that lift there. So what I learned from that attempt on that last one was to feel that amount of weight on my back meant that I had to do a lot more concentration on core engagement, contracting the lats, and coming out of the squat rack strong. So I really had to get my mind right to make sure that I wasn't gonna panic with that much weight on me. So a lot of powerlifting, people think it's just purely physical, but a lot of it is also mental as well. When you have that much weight on your body, there's a tendency for you to want to panic and your fight or flight to kick in. And so when you're in that situation where the weight is pressing down and you're trying to push in the opposite direction, if it doesn't go up right away, some fear starts to set in. And if you aren't locked in and focused, you're immediately gonna have to bail out because something's gonna go wrong if you try to grind through but you're not confident. That weight pressing down on you is gonna make you panic. So feeling that and experiencing that firsthand was really eye-opening for me in terms of how I've been approaching weights up until this point. I've rarely gone for 1 rep maxes up until the last year or two. So it's very much a different dynamic and relationship with the weight. Whereas before I was purely going for, volume training, hypertrophy, trying to get that pump. And so you're often not using weights that have that same level of adrenaline in terms of, if you drop it, this could end up really bad. So that was really a different experience. All right, so this was my next go around with the bench press here. You can kind of see I'm getting mentally ready. And one of the things that I noticed here is that because I'm laying down, I still haven't really learned on how to engage all aspects of my body. I'm still working on things like the leg drive and contracting my lats. And so I started off with 315 here, and he gives me the command to press, and it actually stops. You can kind of see it stops halfway in the middle there, and he just encourages me on push, and I push through and I grinded it out, and I ended up getting it. But it was super shaky, and I think it's at this point I'm realizing that I'm sort of running on low from all the adrenaline and all of the energy that I put into that last squat attempt. So another key thing that I'm realizing is that I need to do a better job of how I manage my body in between lifts. I probably should have eaten more going into the bench. I didn't really refuel other than getting a little bit of water. They actually brought in some like donuts and granola bars for us, and I didn't really eat a lot of that until near the tail end. So in retrospect, I should have been eating a lot more carbs to fuel myself and get ready for that next big lift there. But the 315 went out, and then going from there, I was attempting a 330 bench, which the most I'd ever hit in the gym was 335. So I thought, okay, 330, that should be a good lock-in. Same result. It went up halfway and then it just stopped. And so I ended up scoring the 315, but the 330 just wasn't happening. And I wasn't using my mic. Okay, so just to recap on attempt 1 and 2, and I'll play those on the side so you can see them, but basically because of what happened on the first attempt, I learned that there were some technicalities that I had missed in terms of not keeping my head on the bench. When I actually did hit that 315, I lifted my head up off the bench as I was lifting. It's just something that I've naturally had as a habit, and so they were warning me like, hey, just so you know, in an actual meet, if you do have your head come off the bench during any part of the lift, that's not gonna count. It's gonna be considered a failed attempt. So that was also going in the back of my mind, along with a bunch of other stuff. You'll see me kind of looking at the bar, and at one point I'm like, is the bar even? And all these different things were kind of going on in my mind just because I hit that first attempt, but because it was so difficult, I was starting to second guess what I was capable of. And so once you start to go down that path of that kind of thinking, it can easily just take you down a downward spiral. So second attempt, third attempt was a no-go. I was feeling a little bit defeated at that point, but I decided, you know what, deadlifts are where I can definitely lift the most and hit the biggest numbers. And I was really hungry to hit 600. I've never attempted 600 before this. Most I'd ever hit in the gym was 585 for a single. So I felt like this was my time to go for the big 600. So just for a little bit of context, you can see me there going like this in the video. That was just Tommy, one of the coaches who was officiating, reminding me to follow some of the commands. So I was just making sure that as I go to lift this, that I wait for his call to drop it before I drop it. So this is my opening attempt here. I believe this was 525. You can see me looking over at him for that command, and yeah, that went up and down pretty smooth. So 525, that's well within what I would do for 5x5 sets. Wasn't anything too intense. I wanted to just start small, build gradual, so that was just an easy opener to get me on the board. Next attempt, I took up the ante a little bit. I believe this was about 550. So I'm going for 550 here. Again, feeling pretty strong about this. At this point, I'd eaten some carbs. I'd eaten some of those donuts and granola bars and gotten some food in me. So again, you can see it goes up real quick, real smooth. Wait for that down command, nailed it. So now I'm getting some momentum, I'm feeling really good. And I'm gonna go into the final lift, which is the big 600. Because I'm so amped, because I'm so hyped about it, they also got me to take in some smelling salts. So you can see in the video, and this is where I maybe kind of overdid it. You can see me, I tilt my head all the way back because I did one nostril, I did the other nostril. These things are super potent. It felt like ants were like crawling all inside my skull. So I'm hyped up, I'm all pumped up. And everyone was expecting this to be a grind out, and it just came shooting off the floor. And then as you can see, when I dropped it, it slammed it down. They did let me know that my heel, if you look back at the video, my left heel did come off the floor. So in a meet, again, that would be a no-go. But this was all a learning experience, and so they were really impressed with the lift and how quickly it went up. And that also for me was a good way to know where to gauge my my potential with deadlifts, because I thought that 600 was going to be like a massive grind out and it was going to go up slowly, and it just came right off the ground there. So that lets me know that there's still a lot of room for me to develop and eventually go to the 700 club with deadlifts. So if that's the case, that alone, just that one lift could get me qualified for nationals with the other lifts that I had done that day. So it's really exciting to know that the potential is there. Obviously, just doing the work is the next big portion of it, and that's the portion where it can make or break, you know, making that into a reality. Mentioning, you know, the coach Tommy, who was there officiating, I actually have emailed him and reached out to him a couple times, and we might be looking to do some training together, and I might have him as my coach. So I'll see what that looks like, and I might also have that as my follow-up video, is just, you know, a conversation with him about what the reality of making it to nationals looks like and what I have to do to make that happen. I do also, you know, a number of other things on the side. I do photography and film work, so trying to fit training in with all those other commitments and, you know, what I do throughout the day is going to be a challenge. But I'm at a stage in my life where I want to make sure that I'm taking steps towards prioritizing the things that I'm passionate about and the things that I've been thinking of doing for a while, but just never really taking the time to pull the plug on it. You know, powerlifting is one of those things where I've thought about competing, and now, you know, I'm at a stage where I'm just like, I might as well just do it now, because waiting later doesn't really make a lot of sense, you know? So I'm at that stage where, you know, this is something I'm excited to do, along with making, you know, other change ups and switch ups in my life. So this has just been something that I wanted to post here for posterity. And if you felt, you know, inspired by this, or you wanted to share your own experience with training and working out, feel free to post a comment down below. Like, share, subscribe. I'm going to be posting more here just with my overall journey in fitness. But if you also are into photography and film and just other creative work, I do also have a second channel. I'll post a link here, or I'll put a link in the description. I'm putting some of my old archived videos and just some old vlogs and stuff like that from a little while back at my old apartment. And yeah, you can just see some of that and see some of the work that I've done over the years, along with following my journey here and what I'm working on. So going forward, I'm gonna be taking my camera with me to the gym a lot more. I think these last few weeks I just haven't really felt like filming a whole lot, just because I wanted to focus on training. And I have a new training split, so I'm actually gonna be looking to do a new video on that in terms of what the training split consists of. And it might also change over time. I think when I get closer to my competition in the fall, that's gonna be another key factor. So again, thank you all so much for watching, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.